Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Olive Tree. I'm Julia Fisher and this programme brings you news and interviews from Christians living in Israel and the Middle East, both Jewish believers and Arab Christians, to help us understand what God is doing in the region despite the complexity of the situation. My guest today is a Jordanian Christian called Labib Madanat. He oversees the work of Bible Society in the Middle East, and I met him recently in Jerusalem. Labib has been helping Syrian refugees who have fled the civil war in their own country and made their way to northern Jordan. Amongst those refugees are a small number of Syrian Christians, and their plight is particularly difficult, as Labib now explains.
I want to talk about experiences with some Syrian Christian refugees coming to Jordan. Those people have been living in safety in Syria for centuries, and now they have lost everything. And they come to Jordan, they don't know where to go. They don't have addresses of churches, they don't know where to go. Unfortunately, there are some fanatic groups who are trying to use the weakness of those people to manipulate them. We know of a story of a family of three ladies who came to an area east of Amman called Zarqa and Rusayfa. And one of them, in exchange for help, for shelter, for food, had to marry a local guy from a fanatic family as a second or a third wife. Her sister was engaged to the brother of that guy, and the other one was still there. The one who was married said, yes, we met her, and she said, yeah, they provided me shelter and food, but I feel like I'm a sex slave. Every night I feel I'm being raped. She can do nothing because she was legally married to the guy. Where is the church? From the people of the church. It broke my heart. So with some friends, we were able to get contact with those girls and help them find their way back to Syria. They thought they were coming to a safe place. They didn't know they were trapped into a hellish situation. This family was able to go back to Syria, paid someone to try to smuggle them back, and then take them even all the way the other way north to Turkey to be united with another family member there. This is one story. I am working with some friends in Jordan, even with some government officials, to ask that a pastor, a chaplain, will be assigned at the refugee camps for Syrian Christian refugees. When the Jordanian armed forces so bravely, in such a wonderful way, really receive the thousands of Syrian refugees crossing the border into Jordan and giving their best to help them. Jordan is doing an amazing work, and our armed forces really a force for peace and human help. Our army is not for killing. Our army is for protection and helping others. But I asked some officials, can we have the army, even when they receive the refugees, kind of screen them who are Christians, who are not? And then with the Christians, we will connect them immediately with a priest, with a pastor, with a church minister. And I think we'll be able to do that. This is a prayer request that this will happen. I know that we will find open ears within the government to accept to do that. We don't have a fanatic government in Jordan, and this is a blessing. So this is something that we want to do. We know of another case, I cannot mention names, it's very sensitive, of a Christian girl who we helped her family, and we know her, suddenly leaves home and seemingly converted to Islam. Well, if someone wants to convert to anything they want freely, that's their right. I have no problem with that. But suddenly the girl who's a liberal, open, from a Christian family, suddenly the family meet her and she is covered black from head to toe. The family can only meet her very, very rarely, and she will come protected or surrounded by 15 men with their long beards and so on. You wonder, is she a slave? Did she really convert? What is happening there? Pray for her. Pray that she will find freedom and light. I cannot mention names. It's a very, very sensitive situation, but it is a real situation. You know, I told you about it. You know that, Julia. Pray for her. I am not saying that we are, you know, in every country in the world, when refugees go, there is manipulation and abuse. But if I know in Jordan, I know my country, I know the abuse, I know the manipulation, I know all the good stuff happening. But we cannot turn a blind eye, especially for the household of faith. This is a case which is now as we talk, we are dealing with. Her mom and dad, this lady, are in a dire situation. Anyhow, their life is under threat. Anyhow, so please pray for them. One thing also I want to say, that we are helping, and I do honestly thank the Lord for OTRF and for your generosity. This Christmas, 11 Christian Syrian moms will receive a small fridge, a small washing machine, a gift from OTRF to help them have some food in a fridge, not wash every day on their hands. They're washing. Those are people who come from houses. They're not people coming from poverty. They came from like middle. You're talking about like even middle class families are coming to absolutely nothing. And this is the hand that you stretch of love from the UK, from around the world, all the friends of OTRF, to come alongside. We are a family, and we want to be a family for Christian Syrian refugees in Jordan.
You're talking here, Labib, about helping people on a one-to-one basis, but you're a Christian in a position of influence. You travel around the Middle East, indeed you travel around the world. What do you really believe God is doing at this time here in the Middle East, in all this turmoil? What's happening in his body?
There are people who would deny that God's hand is behind the rebirth of Israel. And they like to see things only from a short-term perspective. Because believing that God is behind something might contradict with some interests or even rights. But now what's happening in the Middle East, God is coming again saying, I am involved in this area. Yes, Satan is running havoc and killing and death, but God is setting the stage. God is setting the stage for what is coming. We are looking up. You know, we cannot ignore the fact that Jesus is coming back. We should not ignore that. We can get so involved, even in ministry, and forget that there is a promise that God is setting the stage. The Lord is working in Israel. The Lord is bringing people to Him. I read the other day an article that 1 in every 3 Jews in the United States believes that believing in Jesus is an extension to the Jewish identity. There is a shift happening. But God is setting the stage in the Middle East as well. I can say yes that Islam is defenseless, but we are not attacking. We are loving people, and we are telling them, maybe you need to consider something different. Maybe you need to consider Jesus Christ. One other small development in Jordan, even in prophecy, now there is already a signed contract to open a canal of water between the Red Sea and the Dead Sea. Prophecies are coming true. Who knows when will another canal be opened from the Mediterranean to the Dead Sea? We can look at what is happening and be filled with fear. But that's not the Christian point of view. We can look at what's happening and see God's hand working, and then we should ask God, I want my hand to be in your hand and to be co-workers with God. I will not go into try to draw a political roadmap or prediction. This is not what it's about. But borders in the Middle East are falling. Young people are rising with a new culture, new mindset. It's a new day. It's a new day. The spring is coming. This is not the spring. The spring is coming, and it's a spring of salvation. It's coming to the Middle East.
Labib Madanat, a Christian from Jordan, sharing his experience of helping refugees from Syria and helping us to understand the turmoil that is going on in much of the Arab world. And you're listening to The Olive Tree with me, Julia Fisher. The Olive Tree Reconciliation Fund is a Christian charity based in the UK that supports the needs of both Jewish believers and Arab Christians living in Israel and the wider Middle East. If you would like to know more about our work and receive our free bi-monthly newsletter, please either visit our website, olivetreefund.org, or write to me, Julia Fisher, at the Olive Tree Reconciliation Fund, PO Box 850, Horsham, RH12 9GA in the UK. And do join me at the same time next week for another story from the Olive Tree. Until then, goodbye.